one and all, and welcome back to another episode of The Armory. This is your host, Stark Bond, and for those of you joining us again, this is part 2 of our lore conversation, where we talk about different games and the universes that are created about them. I'm not going to take up any more of your guys' time. Let's get back into the conversation. Here we go. In terms of lore that you kind of have to dig for, I was actually thinking about Overwatch.
Oh.
And this is something that Fancy actually enjoys doing. When you're in a match, right? When you start a match out, sometimes just random characters sitting in the start gate or wherever it is will start having a conversation with each other.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's like you just hear these little tidbits of dialogue.
Well, one of them that I think of is Mercy and Reaper. Mercy says to Reaper, "What happened to you?" And then Reaper's like, "Well, you tell me, Doc." And it's just like all these cool little conversations between the characters where it's like you're like learning like, oh wow, what did she do to him to make him the way he is? And Reaper and McCree will say different things to each other. And
I like Soldier's lines the best. Soldier 76.
We're all soldiers now.
Back in my day, we'd have this payload delivered already.
Back in my day, Call of Duty was actually good.
Call of Soldier 76. But you know, jumping back into it, like, and this is Blizzard we're talking about, and Blizzard's been always kind of ridiculous when it comes to lore. Like they've always had really tedious, really articulated lore, and Overwatch I feel like is kind of a perfect culmination of that, because they even have, and you guys can YouTube this right now. I'll probably put a couple links in the description below, but you can like watch these short animated, like Pixar level animated videos about Overwatch characters. Like there's one where you have Tracer and Winston fighting Widowmaker and Reaper. You have the newest one, which is The Last Bastion, where you find out about how the most OP turret known to man became the most OP turret known to man.
We find Wally.
Wally, yeah. He's essentially
if
Wally.
Wally had a minigun strapped to his back, how would the movie have played out differently?
Eva!
I now really want to see fan art of that.
I liked learning about Hanzo and Genji. That was really cool.
Oh,
the dragons.
Yeah, that was
The
like my favorite
dragons.
one.
That was my favorite one before The Last Bastion, and The Last Bastion just like tugged at my heartstrings so much.
It's like, why do you make me love something I hate so much?
I get killed by it all the time, but darn it if it's not so cute. And yeah, you find all this stuff out. Like even some of the sprays have meaning behind them. The voice lines, the emotes, like it's so cool how they do that. And this is just a game where there's no single player story. There's just 6-on-6 control points, payload points, like death matches type deal. But it has such an extensive story to it that you want to find out more. And Blizzard, if you're listening, I want to know more about Reinhardt. I want to know more about the big German dude with the hammer that apparently loves running into walls.
There's that Eichenwald map coming up.
Yes.
I have some stuff.
Yeah, Eichenwald, and they're giving him a new skin.
Ooh.
He gets a new skin, and he looks all like awesome.
Me gusta mucho.
I know. I mean, I might have to trade in my Bloodheart skin.
You can trade them in?
Well, no, not trade them in, but I mean, like...
Oh, okay, figures. I got really excited, because it's like...
Can I trade this for the new one, please?
It's like there's some, like, you open up the boxes. Sorry, this is totally off topic. You open up some of the boxes, and it's like, oh, sweet, I got a legendary skin for a character I just don't want to play ever. So.
Exactly.
That being said, with the seasonal thing that they had with the Rio loot boxes,
Oh yeah.
I really wanted the USA McCree.
Oh.
I really wanted USA Clint Eastwood. Merca McCree. It's high noon. Okay, so Overwatch, you have to dig for it. And okay, I'm gonna come back to the game I know and love most dearly, Destiny.
Okay, I'm sorry. They just did a horrible job with presenting the lore.
Well,
Awful.
yes and no. Yes and no. So the story, if you can call it a story, is a story.
Yeah.
As they are often want to be.
The thing with the thing is actually a thing. But yeah, the story, however little it actually is and however little it goes into the story of Destiny is there. But the real lore of Destiny is in the Grimoire cards, which you collect in the game, and then you go to your Bungie.net account, and then you look at the different Grimoire cards, and they give you they give you an idea into the past of Destiny, like what the Golden Age was like, what when explorers went to Mars and to the moon and started colonizing these things and found the Hive, they found the Vex, they found Cabal. And there's a ton of real good lore master, I'm going to call them lore masters, on YouTube that painstakingly sifted through all these cards and made these videos. Some of them are like just talking videos like this, where you listen to it and you listen to the lore being read out, and you can actually hear, like, they put ambient music in the background that kind of deals with what they're talking about. Like, there's a gun called the Last Word, and the Last Word, it was the first gun where when you brought it out, it had like a spinning animation, so it's like you were in the Old West, like yeah. And the lore for that gun is based in a Golden Age Western tavern, and you can hear like someone playing the piano in the background. You hear guys walking in with their spurs on their boots, and almost like I'm picturing McCree now. It's high noon with my last word. But yeah, for as much as people dog on Destiny for not having a story and not having any type of background to it, there is an extensive lore. It's there. People have sifted through it. They've organized it. They've done a real good job actually presenting it, and it's something that I love. Like, I love learning about the Traveler and how it was in this painstaking fight against the darkness, and when it was kind of on its last leg, it stopped over Russia, over the last safe city on Earth, and spawned these ghosts. And these ghosts went out and found guardians that had been dead for centuries, but they revived them in order to help save the Traveler and defend the light against the darkness. Like, if they would have said that in the game, I would have been a lot more happy. But the fact that someone went through to, like, look through the Grimoire card and find it out and explain that to us, like, I'm just happy to have something. So there's my Destiny rant. You knew you were going to get it in this video at some time. All right, so what else? What else do we got?
That sort of just reminds me briefly. I don't know a ton about it, but just the Dark Souls series. So I haven't played through that extensively myself, but I have watched like a couple of lore masters on YouTube, and like half the lore is like in like item descriptions and stuff like that, and then just like in environmental cues. Because sometimes if you're just like watching it being played or something like that, it's just like it almost feels like a story loosely tied together as an excuse to fight some really big crazy stuff. And then you like look at the story behind it, like people have woven it together, and it's like, oh my goodness, there's actually a reason that that's there. And so like the deep lore is like sort of like rewarding if you can like dig your way through to it.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Like, and that for all you Destiny haters out there, hate on Dark Souls a little bit too, because apparently they did the same exact thing.
Well, at least you don't need to go on your computer to view their lore.
Well, you still need to watch it on YouTube. if you want to figure it out coherently, or collect every single item in the game and just read through the descriptions over and over and over again. If you are so tedious.
You know, it's actually interesting to me because I was reading some articles yesterday morning about different stuff, and if you go to like StarCraft, for example, and all the lore behind there, it is pages upon pages upon pages. And for all those who actually played the original StarCraft, that lore was shoved in your face. Like before you start a mission, let me read you a 3-page biography about why you need to do this and who you're fighting against. That's what it is.
Let's watch the Jedi Council deliberate.
Exactly.
There you go.
But it's interesting to see because video games back then, that's just what they did. You know, you had some sort of debriefing in which you had to listen to before you could start the mission or whatever. But now it's like, if you want to really figure out the backstory to the game, you have to play it, and you got to be careful about like what you're paying attention to.
Right.
Because you could skip over half the main story and not even realize it.
Right. And that's kind of one thing I wish we had a good balance of is gameplay and then story.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually when you were saying that where it would throw like 3 pages of bio at you. The game that popped in my head was Metal Gear Solid. Like, that game started out like not so lore intensive, but then you get up to like you got Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3. Then we come up to like MGS4, where it's like hour-long cutscenes or whatever.
Yeah.
So. And that's something I miss too in video games are those beautiful cutscenes that show you almost movie quality, like these huge battles that are taking place or something that's going on. And then you get thrown right into the middle of it and you're like, oh crap, there are bombs going off around me. Let me try and do something. But
I want to talk about good cutscenes. I don't play too many Final Fantasy games, but Final Fantasy 13 was amazing.
Ooh.
It was amazing. Like the visuals,
Yeah.
the colors. Oh my gosh, it was so pretty. It was like I was playing a game, but then watching a movie too.
Yeah.
Square Enix has always been pretty good about that too, haven't they? Like,
Well, they even made a movie out of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Advent Children is so good.
I mean, that's kind of crazy that you can actually incorporate a video game that's so popular that someone actually goes out and makes a movie, a really high quality movie at that.
Yeah, and we're starting to get a couple more of those now.
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed
Yep.
is being made as we speak. We just had Warcraft,
Warcraft, yeah.
which was that was a decent movie.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed myself throughout that.
Pleasantly surprised is how I would say it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're kind of going into it low expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good.
It was
Wow.
good. The fight scenes were good. Like the story was, the story panned out well. It was just kind of a little across the board. A little bit.
Like, didn't the boring critics butcher it?
Well, critics are critics. We don't talk about them. They're not our actual people.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just had a thought, and now it's gone. But yeah, the Final Fantasy series, great stories. Some of them go into each other. Others just completely have their own thing going. Fancy, like you were saying, the 13 series had a very good story to it for people who actually paid attention to it and weren't just focused on the gameplay. You know what's actually funny that I'm thinking about is Super Smash Brothers. Like, people don't actually talk about the backstory in Super Smash Brothers.
Don't forget the fan-made lore of it.
There's fan-made lore.
Yeah, the largest text is the Smash Brothers fan-made lore.
That's fantastic.
It's over 10,000 pages.
That
What?
That
Yeah.
is ridiculous for Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, Nintendo actually came out and said, when they first released the game, like, hey, these aren't actually your favorite characters fighting each other. They are toys. And they're toys fighting for, I guess, you
The
know,
master hand.
fighting for the master hand, or the master hand is making them fight. But the fact that even Smash Brothers has a lore behind it is just kind of ridiculous. And I wow, bubble in my throat. And I think that even extended like into Melee, Brawl, and the newest one. Because I remember Melee and Brawl actually having like a little bit of a campaign to it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the new one doesn't really have a lot of story to it, or at least not obvious story.
Yeah, the new one really doesn't. But I remember Brawl.
Oh, Brawl had a like legitimate story.
Yeah, it had like that whole adventure mode and everything.
I wish they kept that. Like that was probably my favorite part of that game.
That was really cool how they did that. What, you just like sitting over here flapping your arms? My panel has turned into a bunch of birds.
Camel. That's
My camel has turned into a bunch of birds. I have a camel panel. A panel of camels.
An esteemed panel of camels, which is now an esteemed panel of birds.
There you go.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, full circle. Full circle.
Of life.
Oh my.
All right, so I think we've touched on a lot of good games, a lot of good backstories to these games today. For everyone who's listening, if you want to check out some of the stories to these games that we've mentioned, there's stuff all over the internet. Some of them even have books about them, like the Halo series has a bunch of books. Yeah.
Eve actually has 3 books written for it.
3?
Yeah, people have there's been 3 books published about Eve. Just the player events that have gone on, and I think there might be one being written about the last big war between Goonswarm and whoever. Earlier this year.
So you're saying that player wars, just wars that have gone on between factions of players, have had full books published about them.
Yeah.
There is some hardcore drama in there.
Oh gosh.
That is kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. I've never have I heard of anything like that happening. That's awesome. So yeah. EVE Online has books. Kind of ridiculous. But yeah, Halo's got books to it. Warcraft has books to it. Warhammer has history books. History books. School. All right, so with that, I think we're going to call this episode of The Armory. Thank you, my esteemed camel panel, for joining me on this discussion. I think we had some good laughs, some good talks. And yeah, with that, I'm going to say farewell. We'll see you around the Armory. All right, that does it for this episode. I hope you guys learned a thing or two when it comes to lore in video games. We really enjoyed talking about it. Remember, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I love doing these videos, and I hope you guys enjoy them as much as I like making them. Our next episode should be all about the wonderful world of the RTS, the real-time strategy. And don't forget, please leave any ideas you have for any type of episode you want to do in the comments. Now, after the next episode, we might start branching out into movies, comics, and anime, just talking about the things we love. So, until next time, this has been Starkbond. We'll see you around the Armory.
Yeah, either's good. sadly, most of them have stopped playing.
Guys, I just got a quad kill.
Nice. What the heck is the magic combo here? Oh, 299. Oh, that's because I have to raise it up. Yeah, I can do that.
Teleporter online. Move quickly. Thanks. My teleporter is under attack. My teleporter has been destroyed.
Yeah, I guess any calculator should be able to get to. Ah, there we go. Okay. 5 and a life practice point. You're awesome. Just
We must hold the point
so
against
I'm
the
using the Chrome extension, Destiny Item Manager, and it just straight up has something that lets you maximize your stats.
Oh, they added that to the Chrome extension?
I have opened the box.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
So now I'm kind of using that to determine what gear stays and what gear goes a lot of the time.
Thank you, my friend.
Everybody. Yeah, no, I think we're gonna say some more things there. Yeah, that Titan. Oh, that wasn't eventful.